Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry to keep you waiting. Today has been a very crazy day for me. I'm the only person in office today, unfortunately. Half of my staff are out with COVID, and the one other person that was scheduled to be here this morning is also out because his dad was tested positive. So I had to respond to a fire alarm emergency. So I'm very sorry for for my lateness. I won't waste any time with any long-winded discussion. I just want to welcome everyone, all the speakers today. Diane Edwards, President of JAMPRO, Egbert von Frankenberg, Vice Chairman of the Global Services Skills Project, Marlon Johnson, Senior Programs Director at HEART, that's Work-Based Training and MSME at HEART. And I want to welcome members of the panel who will be introduced later on. Thank you very much for joining. Can you all hear me? I hope everyone is hearing me. Okay, everyone can see and hear me. Thank you very much. All right, so it's my pleasure to host this event today as we are celebrating Apprenticeship Week. The Global Services Skills Project is a very important part of the Global Services cluster in Jamaica. The project is filling a very important gap in supporting the talent needs for the sector, and not just supporting the talent needs, but also supporting the upskilling of our workforce as we seek to enhance and grow up the value chain. PEAK has been aptly chosen to represent performance, enhance, accelerate, and knowledge as we look at novel ways to develop our workforce to fill key positions within the global services sector. The apprenticeship model is not new in Jamaica, but I believe the Global Services Project is taking it to another level. In the interest of time, I am going to ask our speakers to stand by and get ready to begin, starting with Diane Edwards, President of JAMPRO. And JAMPRO is the executing agency for the Global Services Skills Project. Diane has been leading that organization for some time now and has been making a wave of difference in how Jamaica has been positioned within the global marketplace. So I'm going to start with Diane, then it will be followed by Egbert, who is the Vice Chair of the Global Services Skills Project, a member of the board of the Global Services Association, and also the CEO and owner of Nightfox App Design. Thank you very much. Over to you, Diane.
Hi, good afternoon, Gloria. Thanks very much for that introduction, and good afternoon to everyone who is listening today. I'm really powered up by this Apprenticeship Week. I want to say a big shout out to Marjorie, Tene, Julaire, Maria, Natalie, gosh, the whole team. And that's not the whole team, so forgive me for those I haven't mentioned, but the whole team over at GSS, because I think this is a fantastic event that we're talking about here, and that we're living through the kind of, as Gloria said, taking apprenticeship to another level. So Apprenticeship Week, I think, is really apt. It's timely. It's absolutely what we need to be focused on. I don't know how many of you listening know that in Germany, apprenticeship is one of the critical pieces of structure on which the whole German education system is built. And it is definitely one of their key success factors, because apprenticeship is about learning by doing. It's about, instead of just doing this thing from a book and learning theory, it's actually going on the job and understanding a job from the inside out and getting the tips from the people inside who can help you. So I think that's really, really critical to Apprenticeship Week. And I think we should celebrate Apprenticeship Week, and we should take apprenticeship to a higher level, because it is really going to help us and help you, young apprentices, to be ready for the jobs of tomorrow, the jobs that we don't even know yet what they will be called and what their content will be about, because those jobs are now in the creation stage. And then I also want to speak to the whole program of the global services sector. project, because this project, little do you know, is actually a groundbreaking project. It actually has put Jamaica on the map, and we have become a flagship for the Inter-American Development Bank, who worked with us on conceptualizing and financing this project through a loan to the government of Jamaica. Because this project is actually the first of its kind in the Caribbean. And what we are doing is really training people in new skills, particularly digital related skills, soft skills, critical skills that are definitely going to be in demand tomorrow for those jobs that I was talking about that we don't even know their names yet. But the point is that these are skills which are not taught in school. These are not skills that get you a CAPE certificate or a CXC certificate. These are skills that are critical in a workplace, but are not really taught. So that's what the Global Services Sector Project is about. It's about apprenticeship, it's about upskilling, it's about short-term certification, and it's about really lifting the whole technology and outsourcing sector, which people commonly call BPO, lifting it to the next level and expanding the range of applications that we are able to do in Jamaica. So the government and JAMPRO are very proud to be implementing this project and to really becoming a trailblazer in that constellation of countries that IDB services. And then I want to say one word to the companies that are there to hire apprentices, because I think you also will benefit from this project. You'll benefit not only because you will gain upskilled apprentices and people with new skills and skills more adapted to your workplaces, but what you will also gain is like an incentive to you to come and locate in Jamaica. As you know, JAMPRO's role is Jamaica's Economic Development Agency. What we do is go out and look for investment, and we help local investors as well. And we pilot them through the business approvals process, get them on board, get them in the ground, and get them hiring, because that's essentially what we want to do, create jobs for people. So this project, this GSS project, is like an additional incentive to those companies to come to Jamaica, because training and skilling and the talent pool is the #1 factor of competitiveness in Jamaica and every country's ability to attract new investment to their country. You, the people on board listening here now, both apprentices, potential apprentices, existing apprentices, and companies offering apprenticeships, you are part of the future. What we are building here now today is the future, and you need to get on board with that future, embrace it, make it your own, and lift this industry to higher heights. It's not a coincidence that the government has declared the outsourcing industry an essential service, because it has become essential to the Jamaican economy and to the global economy. So we really have a great opportunity, and I want you all to embrace it, to build your own future and to build the future of Jamaica. Thanks very much. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you very much, Diane. So very good. In fact, putting things into context on what is now available. I wish that this kind of program was available when I left high school and was looking for an opportunity to enter the world of work. So thank you so much, Diane. We'll now hear from Egbert van Frankenberg.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone is being safe and keeping safe. I just wanted to let everybody know from a company's perspective, and as so is, I am also German. So I want to speak a little bit about what Diane was saying earlier, that yes, apprenticeship is huge in Germany, and it's a big part of the educational system throughout the entire country. There's several apprenticeship positions all over in different industry sectors throughout the country, and it's part of the backbone, as she already said, of the higher learning within the country. And what does it do? Well, for one, it makes you a lot more employable, because instead of just coming into the business world with the theory knowledge that you've gained in your tertiary education, you also have already gathered a lot of practical knowledge. And especially in the higher tier in terms of BPO outsourcing, my company focuses on software outsourcing. And I can tell you that there's a lot of times when young developers come to us, they have the knowledge from a theoretical point and have the knowledge of developing simple programs. But most of the time there's a lack and there's a knowledge gap when it comes to A, working in a team, B, how to set up an app on an app store. A lot of workflows and a lot of automations and a lot of different parts that you need to consider when you work on a bigger project than a school project is a lot of knowledge that is lacking at the early stages. So it takes a company a lot longer to get someone integrated into the workings of the business. Whereas on the contrary, if someone comes out of an apprenticeship program, it is a lot easier for a company like ours, because we already would have someone that has been trained on the practical side of things, that already has the necessary knowledge that we need in order to get you set up in the job a lot quicker. So as a company, I'm very happy to see Jamaica going into this direction, and to see that Jamaica has been one of the first countries in the Caribbean region to follow this kind of tertiary educational system. And I know that this will be very beneficial for the entire country going forward, especially in the BPO sector. All right, I hope that I will see a lot of you in this sector and following the opportunities as an apprentice. Thank you.
What a great opportunity that the GSS is affording to not just the BPO sector, but companies like yours, Egbert, that operates in the knowledge process, IT outsourcing areas. So this is a great opportunity. And it's an opportune time now to invite our next speaker from Heart Trust NTA. Heart is an important partner in the GSS project, executing critical training components of this project. And at this time, I invite Marlon Johnson, Senior Programs Director, Work-Based Training, MSME at Heart Trust NTA. Over to you, Marlon. That looks like Wayne. It doesn't look like Marlon. Marlon, are you there? All right, so I am not seeing Marlon and at this time, then therefore I am going to move on to the lady of the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Marjorie Straw is a program director for the Global Services Skills Project. And I have always said that I have never seen anyone as passionate and as invested in a project as Marjorie has been for the last few years that this project has begun. The project has made significant strides in supporting members of the global services sector. And Marjorie will now share with you how the competitive fund works, how it seeks to support members of the sector, and tell you a little bit more how you can participate. This is an important component of the project, and it is what we expect that the members would all gravitate to participate in. So it's my pleasure to welcome Marjorie Straw.
Thank you, Gloria. Thank you for those very kind and warm comments. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, keeping safe. One more no movement day to go. We'll be back out tomorrow to pop out for air, but let's all do so safely. Well, let me get right into it. Give me a second. I'm going to share my screen. And yes, this should be it. No. Give me 1 second, folks. Sorry. All right, apologies for that. I did rehearse this before I came on, but now I am having a little challenge finding my file. 1 second. Let's do this. Okay. Gloria, can you give me a second? I'm going to pause. I apologize for the interruption, but I'm not seeing the PowerPoint that I'm trying to pull up. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go back on mute. Sorry.
Understand that, Marjorie. You know, today is one of those days. I tell people, I came to work this morning to stay in my office and just work. And it's a good thing I am multifaceted and multi-talented, because I had to deal with an engineering matter that, you know, I could not get someone to respond to as fast as I could, but I did. Thank you, Lord, for giving me talents, exceptional talents. And the GSS is doing exactly that, providing exceptional talents to our Jamaican workforce. Many persons learn different ways. Some people learn by sitting in a classroom. Some persons learn by teaching themselves, while some persons learn by looking at examples and seeing other persons at work. And I think the apprenticeship program is providing a comprehensive learning platform for members of the Jamaican workforce to learn and to understand intricately some of the various areas that are available within the GSS. So as we wait on Marjorie, she's going to give it another try. We want to encourage all the members of the GSS to ensure that you participate in the apprenticeship program. Now is an opportune time for members of the workforce who are looking at various opportunities to exploit their talents and their various skills. Many persons have been in lockdown. Some persons have been displaced because of the pandemic. Thankfully, the global services sector has managed to continue to operate during this time. We have managed to grow as well. We've grown over 15% since July last year. We're grateful to the government for having given us and designated the sector an essential services sector. So even today, during the lockdown, most companies are opened and persons are at work and earning a living and continuing to contribute to the development of Jamaica. We are looking forward to the opportunities that are upcoming for the sector. Several of our members are expanding. We're at 44,000 employees now, but based on all the plans that I am seeing for new sites being developed in Kingston, new sites expanding in Montego Bay, expansion at the Barney Technology Park, the Montego Bay Free Zone expanded a couple of years ago, and we're looking at other opportunities as we're bursting at the seams right now. In Portmore, several expansions have taken place. New sites have opened. Just 2 months ago, a new site opened in Cookspen for IBEX, and Portmore Informatics Park has 3 new sites being opened by operators who are growing organically. So yes, lots of exciting things are happening in the GSS, and now more than ever is a time for our members to be able to tap into a very educated and well-learned workforce. And the apprenticeship program is doing exactly that. But there are other components under the project as well. There's a short-term training component that we encourage our members to take opportunity. There is a training that Heart is going to be executing, and I'm sorry that Heart isn't here to speak, but Heart is a major partner for this project, and will be training 24,000 persons over the next few years to support the GSS. So there's a lot of opportunities. Jamaica is looking good in the global space. This is a differentiating factor for Jamaica, the GSS that is. So yeah, lots of great things are happening. Lots and lots of great things are happening. All right, let me just check in to see if Marjorie is ready to come back on. Are you ready to come back on, Marjorie? Okay, well, we're still waiting on Marjorie. If anyone has any questions, I'm here to answer. Okay, I see she's coming back on. Okay, awesome.
Hi, Gloria, are you hearing me?
Yes, hearing you, Marjorie.
All right, so we're starting from the beginning. All right, is everyone seeing my PowerPoint? I apologize for asking, but I didn't have any issues before. Thank you, audience, for your patience. So I've been asked to present on the competitive fund, but I think before we get into the specifics of the fund, it's important to understand the two main objectives of the Global Services Sector Project. The first one is to improve the skills development system to provide the GSS with better skilled workers, particularly in higher value added segments. And the second one is to strengthen Jamaica's capacity to attract investment and increase exports in higher value added segments. Most persons do not readily make the connection between a strong talent pool and increased investment and foreign direct investment. But it is well known, and you'll see in a few slides that I'll be presenting, that this is a key decision factor. Gloria and Diane can speak well on this subject, that investors look at the talent pool, look at the level of skills, especially in the areas of their focus, and whether we have enough persons, whether we have enough graduates, whether we have enough skilled or persons skilled in the areas. And there is a direct correlation between a strong talent pool or highly skilled workers and investments in a country. If we look briefly, the next 2 or 3 slides are just going to speak on the World Economic Forum Human Capital Development Report. Although this report was published in 2017, I feel that many of its elements are still applicable to what we face in Jamaica today. The World Economic Forum uses 4 elements to measure how well a country is developing its human capital. It looks at capacity, that is the level of formal education of younger and older generations as a result of past education investment. It looks at development, formal education of the next generation workforce, and continued upskilling and reskilling of the current workforce, which is a main focus of the GSS project. It looks at deployment, skills application and accumulation among the adult population, and know-how, breadth and depth of specialized skills used at work. In looking at some critical success factors for economic development, or human capital for economic development, it speaks to a highly trained labor pool. In order for a country to be relevant to the future demands of the job market, the labor pool must have benefited from internationally benchmarked training programs. And this is the good thing about working closely with the Global Services Skills Council, because all the training programs are influenced, are guided by the industry operators who operate in an international market. Human capital also speaks to the transferability of skills. So a strong human capital looks at how easily one can transfer one's skills. It speaks to the sectors of the future and indicate that it will assume that countries like Jamaica, purporting to be an active participant within global marketplaces, will be able to leverage its human capital and adapt to the ever-changing demands. The Jamaican labor pool must therefore be able to seamlessly transfer its skills from one productive activity to another in order to compete internationally. We must be, as a country, in a constant state of retooling. And by retooling, we do not mean manufacturing. We're talking constantly upskilling, reskilling our labor pool. And our labor pool will be developed on the premise that constant retooling is a natural response and characteristic for economic development. It looks at the high technological profile of a country. And in response to the constant changes within the global marketplace, the Jamaican laborer or person, citizen, will become characterized by their technological savviness, primarily due to the growth of influence of the younger generation entering the employment pool. Finally, it looks at skills training that is trumping education. Really, what this is speaking to is the focus not just on college education, which is important, university education degrees, those are important, they have their place. But now more and more industry is looking at a talent pool that is competent, that has the requisite skills training, perhaps certified, not necessarily a degree in a specialized area, and is able to function and do the job or the required skill well. Just briefly, I want to just discuss the case study of Amazon headquarters when they were seeking a location and trying to make a decision in 2018. At that time, more than 200 localities across the USA competed to win Amazon's headquarters to and its estimated 50,000 jobs. The request for proposal stated a highly educated labor pool is critical and a strong university system is required. Most localities competed on tax incentive packages. Virginia won with a standout higher education package, including a new US $1 billion Virginia Tech Innovation Campus in Alexandria to be located less than 2 miles from Amazon's new location in Arlington. Virginia Tech plans to increase undergraduate enrollment by 2,000 students in computer science, computer engineering, software engineering related to the next 8 years. Again, my earlier comment when I shared the objectives, there is a direct correlation between investments and your talent pool. So what do we know for sure? Based on the UNCTAD report of 2017, the upgrading of the general skill level and provision of higher level specialized training is something that host countries have to do for themselves. Indeed, such upgrading itself can be used to attract higher quality inward FDI and to induce existing investors to move into more complex activities. So let's look at the specifics of the competitive fund for the global services sector. What is the competitive fund? It's really a financial mechanism where resources are awarded competitively. We seek to forge partnerships to grow the industry. So we seek to strengthen the capacity of the National Training Institution, HART NSTA, to provide the quality of training to improve the system's ability to guarantee relevance of training. We seek to strengthen the skills development pipeline. We seek to develop strong quality assurance mechanisms, and we constantly monitor and evaluate to ensure that the training we're delivering resonates with the industry and is a good fit for industry needs. There are 6 advantages from the project's perspective of the competitive fund. The first one is that it ensures that the private sector is at the driver's seat in the training design. This is why the Global Services Sector Skills Council was established very early on in the project, early in January 2019. And that's because the project recognized that to deliver effective and impactful training, we had to have the industry close. We have to have a mechanism where we can consult and be guided by industry. No longer are training programs supply driven. No longer are training institutions, actually no training institution should be off in a corner developing and designing training for industry without consulting the industry. This project is led by a demand-driven approach to its training design. It ensures that training responds to the firm's skills demand, as I elaborated early on. We seek excellence in all our deliveries. And in that regard, we constantly check in with industry, with stakeholders, and with you, the apprentices, to ensure that what we are delivering is meeting expectations, are meeting expectations. We quickly adapt to changes in skills demand. This is perhaps one of the key advantages to the training offerings under the Competitive Fund Program. We recognize that this is an industry that is constantly changing its requirements for skills demand. It caters to a global market. The global clients constantly change their requirements, and we need to have a skills force, a workforce that is able to quickly adapt, quickly understand the importance of lifelong learning so that they can be responsive to industry demands and needs. And it encourages co-funding from the private sector because we do believe that the training offerings under the GSS project will provide strong return on investment to the private sector, to the firms operating, and that they should have a vested interest in this as well, in developing the human capital for their organizations and operations. And it ensures transparent and efficient resource allocation. What are the areas of priorities for funding? Well, all training that responds to the needs of the industry and support the project objectives can be considered. All training that is offered under the competitive or through the competitive fund arrangement must lead to a certification. Training that addresses gender gaps can be considered, and training that increase in personnel or leads to an increase in personnel can also be considered. Let's look at some of the training offerings. Well, this week is all about our apprenticeship program, and we're celebrating our apprentices. But let's speak more specifically about how do we get involved into the apprenticeship program, and what are the costs related to the apprenticeship program. As the employer or the firm, you pay nothing. HART NSTA, our national training institution, pays the instructor's cost, the assessment cost, the certification cost. And the fund pays an incentive of 22,500 Jamaican dollars each month to the apprentices. As you heard Dan Edwards say earlier, this can be an incentive and part of your decision making when considering Jamaica as a location. The only thing we ask of the employer is to ensure that the apprentices are mentored, that they have a good and positive experience in the program, and there is some administration required in terms of preparing the submission to the fund for processing of payment. But as I mentioned, HART NSTA and the GSS project pay all related costs for 12 months for an apprentice to be upskilled currently right now in the supervisory management training. as you heard Gloria mention, and it was the apprentices who came up with this brand for the apprenticeship program, Peak, perform to enhance and accelerate your knowledge. And we think it's a wonderful slogan to have for the apprenticeship program. Let's talk now about the short-term certificate. Under the short-term certificate, we have several modalities under which one can submit an application. Training can be anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months. We support training for newly installed companies, new positions. We support training to expand or to make more sophisticated the operations of an existing company. And we also train for creation of new capacities demanded by the global industry. This is really, the short-term certificate is really an innovative mechanism to support the firms in the GSS. Think of it as a blank slate. Imagine your co-funding arrangement. In the co-funding arrangement, the project will pay up to $300 US per participant. For the online training, we ask that you pay 35% of that co-funding arrangement, 35%, so it's a 50-50, 35% of your 50 for the registration of your trainees, and 65% will be paid to you upon receipt of the certificate. But you are not limited. You can select any course that you deem important to reskill or upskill your trainees, your employees, to respond to some need in the organization or to move into a higher value added segment. And so this is why we're not listing courses or for you to consider. We can actually sit with you, meet with you, and understand what your training needs are. And we can also show you how to maximize your training spend per employee. The selection criteria is pretty straightforward. As I said, any training conducted must lead to a certificate. Applicants must justify how the selected courses will help their business and must be aligned to the project objectives. Applicants must agree to the co-funding of courses, and funds will only be reimbursed upon the submission of the certificate. The GSS Internship Program is one example of a short-term certificate program where we're recently just rolling out a pilot program. We intend to roll out a much larger program across the country next year. This program targets third and final year tertiary students. Interns are contracted in job roles that support higher value added services for the GSS. Firms who enter into this co-funding arrangement will pay 40% of the agreed amount to be paid as a stipend to the intern, and the project will pay 60%. All firms in the program must offer a mentorship framework and have a work plan for each intern, which will be assessed right throughout the program at different intervals. And basically, the program will be evaluated at the end as well to get the interns' perspectives on their experience. We're currently targeting around 45 interns for the pilot program. So I can't underscore enough, the project is a firm believer that if we do not constantly reskill and upskill our needs, we may not be as relevant. And there are a number of different mechanisms and tools that the project is implementing to support you, the apprentices, and persons who are seeking to understand the industry better. And importantly, you, the firms who might have to reskill or upskill your employees very quickly to respond to a client need or to be able to respond to a proposal. So in my little cartoon here, this clown, I do hope he knows how to juggle well, because that is his way to get into accounting. We don't need another office clown. You can juggle, right? We do have an opening in accounting. So constantly being able to adapt your skills based on the needs of your industry. So to summarize, the competitive fund training programs help firms to maximize their training budget and save on their operations cost. If you have any questions, you can email at infocompetitive_gss@jamprocorp.com. That's infocompetitive_gss@jamprocorp.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marjorie. You remember what I said about passion? Well, there you have it. Passion indeed. And nobody has any excuse for not participating in the GSS. There is a short-term certificate. There is the apprenticeship program. There is a competitive fund that can support you. And there is the internship. So there are ways, there is a track for everybody who wishes to participate. I just want to remind everyone that, yes, we do operate in a very volatile environment, meaning that the wheels of change is constantly churning in the global market. Things are constantly changing. And so we have to remain relevant and continue to upskill and train our persons, our people in Jamaica. When Jamaica decided to design and develop this global services skills program, I think it was the best thing that we could have done for the sector. The GSSC, the Global Services Skills Council, is a novel and important criteria for growth in this global services environment, as it provides relevant and key input in the design and development of training for the sector. So what an awesome and amazing opportunity for Jamaica's global services sector. All right, I'm gonna open up for questions. We don't have a lot of time, but I will allow 1 or 2 questions. Marjorie was very comprehensive, very thorough as usual, but just in case there is that burning question out there. Is there? I imagine that the questions would be posed in the chat, and I am not seeing any, so, all right. Well, thank you very much, Marjorie, for once again a very thorough and complete presentation. And she has opened up the opportunity for direct contact if anyone wishes to ask any questions of the project. The project team is always available to answer your questions. All right, I am going to move on to Lisa Suarez and the panel discussion at this time. We have Lisa Suarez on standby and the panelist. And I'm going to start with introducing, oh, sorry, I'm seeing one question. One question. All right, who does the training for the short-term courses, Marjorie? Can you respond to Gary Lewis on that point?
Sure, Gary,
on that question?
Thank you, Gloria. Gary, the industry decides. That's the beauty about the program. The firm decides which training provider it wants to use for the short-term courses. We will always verify, you know, we have a strong accountability in the project, but it's the industry that decides. The firms that say, I want to use EDX, Coursera, UE, UTech, it doesn't matter what, as long as it complies with the requirements for the short-term courses. Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you very much, Marjorie. All right, please allow me to introduce Lisa Suarez Lewis. Lisa Suarez Lewis is a founder, CEO of Great People Solutions, GPS, a management consulting business with a focus on HR and people performance. Lisa's career has spanned 20 years across a range of local and global businesses in banking, telecoms, and FMCG, that's fast-moving consumer goods industries, including Diageo, Jamaica North, LATAM, and the Caribbean, Cable and Wireless, Scotiabank, and KPMG. Her roles covered general management consulting, end-to-end human resource management, corporate and commercial banking, and corporate governance. Lisa is a visionary and a leader in her field. She is commercially driven and possesses a deep understanding of talent and of unlocking people's potential to deliver competitively advantage business results. She is trained in performance diagnostics and breakthrough performance coaching and has a strong and consistent ownership orientation. Lisa has held key industry association roles and sat on company boards and pension plan trustee boards in public, private, and not-for-profit organizations. She has a BSc in industrial engineering, wow, with first-class honors, and an MBA with distinction in finance and marketing from the University of the West Indies. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Lisa Soares Lewis, and Lisa will then introduce members of the panel who will be discussing the topic at this time. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Gloria, and great seeing you as usual. And of course, you know, this couldn't come at a better time. So thank you so much. Thanks to the GSS project team, IDB and Heart, and everybody who is participating at this time. This is such a crucial program. We speak about it on the board all the time. We're very happy that this is being really championed by JAMPRO. And you know, I'm excited to be leading this panel. Gloria, I wish I had sent you a shorter bio, but you know, you did say some things. When I see competitive advantages, I will point them out, and this is certainly one of them if a company is participating. So, you know, let's get straight to it. I'd like to welcome the panel, and right now for the persons that we are going to have join us shortly, we're basically going to have an open discussion. We're going to talk about the advantages, the skills, what's happening now into the future. We're definitely going to explore, you know, their experiences and any feedback that they have for the project team and some suggestions. So before I go any further, I'd just like Tini to bring on the panel. We have joining us Ingrid Marshall, Associate Director of Learning and Development at Hinduja Global Solutions. We also will be having Wayne Sinclair. He's a Managing Director of National Credit Adjusters, and Modiel Calder, HR Site Manager for Vistaprint at Simpress Jamaica. So let me see who is on. Is that you, Ingrid? Can everybody is unmuted? And is that Wayne? Just say hello for me. Is that Wayne?
Hello.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wayne.
And you can hear me?
Yes, and that's okay, Ingrid?
Awesome. No, I'm Modiel.
Modiel. Okay, so
yes.
I think Ingrid is joining now. Hello, Ingrid. That would be.
Hi, good afternoon.
Awesome. So what I'll do now is we're so excited about this panel. I'm going to just ask you some questions, but I'll just, you know, point to each person and call you by name to just give your contribution so we can get it done in 35 minutes. So, you know, I'll put the rose between the thorns, but so you go middle way. Ingrid, why don't you start? Just give us a quick introduction of yourself and we'll just go through to Ingrid, Wayne, and then Modiel.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. And I'm extremely excited and I'm grateful for the opportunity for us to, you know, speak about the experiences and to showcase the talent that we have in our sector. One thing I must say that I have also worked as a call center agent and I've grown in the role. And I really like to share my experience with my employees. And I look forward to seeing others grow in the industry and become authorities in their own right. And awesome. So for us, having persons being engaged in learning, continuous learning is something that we really embrace. I love training, and that's why I'm in this role of learning and development. And every opportunity that I get to do it, I take that opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. Thank you. All right, let's go to our next person. Yes, Wayne.
Hi, welcome and thank you, Lisa, for having us, and thank you to the GSS for having me on this panel. I'm definitely the thorn among the roses. Let's just make that very clear.
I was going to flip it in. I was just waiting.
Yeah, no. I'll help you with that. And I share everybody's enthusiasm about this project. when it was first presented to me, I thought it was just an excellent opportunity to, upskill and get our apprentices, even though some of them are already fairly seasoned managers, to become involved in the program, right? It is an opportunity to show and continually improve the management skills and improve the people skills, if you will, of our team. And it's very timely because as an organization, National Credit Adjusters is very passionate about consistently training and developing our team members. So, a lot of things were mentioned about the program itself. I've already seen tremendous advantages here at NCA. It's a very cost-effective program as well. Of course. Very much so. So obviously nothing but positive things to say, and really glad to be a part of this discussion today.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to more comments. Modiel, our final rose.
Hi, thank you. All right, so for us at Vistaprint, it was a no-brainer for us as well. When we got the information about the program, absolutely we wanted to be a part of it. And of course, the benefits that we mentioned was similar for us. We were going through, the heights of the pandemic, or was a little bit before, and we knew that we wanted to be a part of the program, and we would not have had to kind of dip into the budget to pay for this. So that's a plus, and I congratulate the GSS for offering this to companies. Also giving our candidates the ability or the opportunity to learn some more and hone their leadership skills, because we also have seasoned leaders who are part of it, and we have emerging leaders who are part of it. We also thought it would be a great way for us as Vistaprint to share with us some of our cultures. How is it that we execute leadership in our company as well? And so we felt like it would be a great exchange, and certainly our candidates are very happy to be part of the program. They definitely look forward to having their sessions, and it's been great all around so far.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're going to have a lively conversation. So I would just add a little bit as a recruiter, and I do recruit in the BPO sector as well, but at the management levels and from that level up. Generally, we're seeing skills gaps in all industries. But when you're in a growth industry, we have got to pay attention to it. So one of the things, I was in Mumbai last year, February, just before COVID, and they had so many surveys that said, over half of the workforces that they surveyed were knowing that they were going to have change jobs or change skills. So learning has to be continuous, as you started out saying for us, Ingrid. What are the things that we've found with the industry as well is that apart from not having enough attention maybe to future skills, you have the employee brand. So I was very excited when I saw PEAK, which is Performance to Enhance and Accelerate Knowledge. I think that's a great acronym. And of course, the development of leaders. So starting with supervisory management and leaders is, of course, where we should start. So let me just go in to say, I'm going to ask you, what are some of the skills that you are seeing today that you have skills gaps in that this program is addressing? And maybe I'll start with you, Modiel. You can all keep your unmuted, so we can just go fast.
Sure.
What are some of the specific skills, hard and soft, that this program is addressing?
So certainly communication skills, I think, is quite foundational, and is one that you can never, be too old to learn more about. We are in the people business. We're in, of course, a custom obsession business as well. So for us, this is paramount. And certainly the program has that as an integral part of the program. And so we are happy that this is something that's helping us to continue to improve the communication skills of our emerging leaders and our current leaders as well.
Awesome. Any others? Wayne?
Yeah, so communication skills is sort of foundational, but also just general management skills. Again, part of our culture is to promote from within, right? So all of our supervisors and senior leaders now started off as what we call frontline workers, right? Started out in the trenches. And they in working in trenches, don't necessarily get to understand what leadership and what management is really about. So we're talking about the soft skills from a communication and just people management standpoint. But what this GSS apprenticeship program also gets into pretty heavily is things like budgeting, right? Cost containment and that sort of thing. So people are now starting to understand that when I'm really tight with the purse, there's a better understanding of why that is, and they're making a connection between, fiscal management and the prosperity of the enterprise as a whole, which in turn inures to the benefit of everybody else. So that's one of the great things about this program. It's really broad-based and really gives our apprentices an idea to see what things are like from the other side, so to speak.
Awesome. What about you, Ingrid?
Okay, so I echo what was shared before, but I think one of the areas that I would love to see more emphasis placed on is managing performance. And that is to ensure that people understand that when when your manager or your supervisor has a conversation with you, it's not to tear you down, but it's to give you the insight for the areas that you are not able to see, because you have a blind spot. You're not able to see everything. And someone else can see those areas that you need to be improved, that you need to improve on, so that you can start to add more, you can give more. And so I think performance management is something that is critical, because that's the way that we'll get persons to the next level, for them to understand you are doing well now, but we want you to get to that next level.
And awesome. I'm listening to it as a coach. So is the performance management also part of their ability to confront poor performance conversations, the coaching, unlocking the things that people are not saying?
And having that difficult conversation. A lot of persons shy away from these conversations. And that's because, the emotional side of it can always take over the conversation. And sometimes we're not as mature as we would think we are, and so the conversation may never happen, or when it happens, it goes the wrong way. So we have to get to that place where we're more comfortable and we're confident that what we're doing is to help the individual, and that the individual actually accepts and learn that this is to help them.
Right.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Wayne. You wanted to add?
No, I was going to say that emotional intelligence is so key, especially when you're, especially when you have managers that are friends with the people that they're not managing, right?
Yes.
And used to work with the people that, they're not managing, right? So it's tough for them sometimes to make that transition from, me being your friend and me being in the same shoes that you were, to being the boss, so to speak. So,
I think that's really important as well, especially because it seems like all of our organizations champion promoting within. And so certainly, Ingrid, you said that, that's also your story. Certainly you want to help prepare these leaders who, want colleagues with, as frontline specialists or agents. So how do you now deal with that? I remember when I started in work, where I felt like you could not be friends with, you could be friendly, but not have like a real friendship. And it was when I got to Vistaprint, that illusion was quickly thrown out the window. And of course, it is difficult to kind of toe the line, but it does take that special sort of emotional intelligence to know that, yes, I'm your friend. We can go out and have a drink or a lime later, but I need to be able to hold you accountable at work and be able to do that and still maintain the friendship. I think that's quite important.
Awesome. And the thing I would say to you that even executives have difficulties with communication and managing performance conversations. And at the heart of it is some sort of fear. But interesting, you started telling me about some of the skills that are needed now, and they're still needed in the future. Even the World Economic Forum has identified there are a lot of C's, there start with C: communication, critical thinking, collaborative ways of working, coaching. If you really get fundamentals of coaching, you can navigate a relationship, going into a line manager-employee relationship to manage performance, and creativity. And of course, the computer-based training. I actually used another C word with what you described, Wayne, which is also understanding the context. So if you're going to understand budgeting, then you can speak about the language and try and make choices. So those are great. So let's go on to ask in terms of, how does the apprenticeship address these gaps based on just what you have observed, some of the fundamentals of how it's structured? And anybody can start. Go ahead, Ingrid.
Okay. Well, for us, we have seen significant improvement in terms of the relationships, building those relationships and managing the relationship. We found that, or even performance for some persons, because they are now seeing the reason, they're getting a better understanding of why I need to separate the friendship from, the work that's supposed to be done, and being held accountable. You find that more persons are even being on time for work because they have a greater relationship. So their staff tends to be more dedicated and committed to the cause. And for us, it's about the people, having the people understand that, we care about what happens to you. And that's the message that we have here. And our support staff who are in this program, they are doing a tremendous job of ensuring that employees know that we care about you, because if you're not here, then we won't exist either.
So I understand that the program provides guides for conversations and different things like that. Is that what they'd be using to navigate the conversations you're speaking about?
Right. So even coaching is one of them that you mentioned. There's a module on coaching, and it provides them with the steps that they can use. And some of the guys, because they may not have used other approaches before, they may have used just a sandwich technique, but now they're exposed to other approaches that they can use and realize that it's not just talking about the bad and the good, but to help persons, even those who are doing well, to know that, listen, there's a next level and you can go even.
Right. And especially now, because I think the conversations have to get much more texture with COVID. So that's really good.
Right.
And when you were going to add, how does the apprenticeship program address some of the gaps?
Yeah, I mean, so for your audience that may not be aware, I mean, the program is 16 modules, right? And I mean, if you look at just at a very high level, some of the, the title of some of these modules, communicating effectively. Right, integrity and ethics, effective leadership, team leadership, managing time, managing performance, strategic planning, even down to the nitty-gritty of using the Microsoft Office suite. And so they get that very real sort of down-to-earth theoretical approach, right? And then the program is structured in such a way that what they learn in the classroom, they apply on the job as well, right? With mentorship from, I'm assuming, my colleagues here on the panel. So it's very hands-on, right? And it's very practical, and it's very targeted in terms of the needs that we have. I think it was Marjorie that I mentioned earlier that we, the companies were the ones that were really instrumental in structuring how this program would be rolled out, right? So it's not something in the past, a lot of programs were, well, is this really practical, right? I mean, is this something that I can really use? This one is not so, because we were so key and instrumental in designing, pretty much how the program is going to be structured. And so we're seeing the results. It's definitely making my management process a lot easier, because communication, the communication is a lot more fluid now, right? I definitely, I'm speaking and having conversations that
relevant
each other, relevant, right? Yes. I understand each other a lot better.
I mean, I must say, if you're an HR manager and you get a program like this dropping on your lap, you're like, let me just tick 3 boxes off my talent strategy. It's relevant to my industry. I've participated in saying what I want. They've designed it, and they've given you back a package which has 2 things: the theoretical. And Wayne, thanks for giving us that list, because what we have is other colleagues in the industry, in the GSS, who are listening on and determining should I participate or not. Although Modell said it's a no-brainer, some people that are still considering it, So that's very good. Modell, what about you? How does it address the gaps? And after this, we're going to go into the split, the 20%, 80%. I want to speak a little bit more about that. But before we go there, how does it address your gaps?
So it definitely has been helping. So similar to what my 2 panelists have shared. For us, what really resonates is the discussions that they have, because it's through there you can learn, from your other colleagues, or they're learning from other colleagues, like different examples of how they've used it. Because when it comes down to that practical aspect, it's experience that teaches wisdom. Absolutely. As much as you go through this theory, you'll never be able to use that theory without having the actual experience. And so that's the part that's really magical, I think, about this program, is that they actually get to put it into practice. When you talk about the critical thinking skills and also context, You can give information, but then information without context is very dangerous. And so what I do love about this is the fact that they can start adding some context to what they're learning and are being placed in that role as a leader or as a manager, because now they are going to be able to get to, apply that in the practical aspect. Then a lot of these different theories that they're learning, they'll be able to apply even more. And we do have, these different supervisory, programs which introduces them in its own right. And so what's great about this is that it supports what we're doing in terms of giving them added theory and having them to share their experience that they're having. And if they're even not in a leadership exposure program, just as a colleague, this is what I've observed. This is how my leader does things. And so now I have the ability to go back and say, hey, you could have probably tried this approach. Have you thought about this? It gives them the opportunity to have these discussions and to share thoughts, even if they're not in a leadership position as well.
Absolutely. And, when you're teaching adults, it's not just teaching, conversations, because guess what? At the highest level of the executives, you have to move yourself out of your own way. So
Exactly.
the conversation is a big part of the learning. So thanks for that. So just to recap, I understand the first program is really about supervisory management. Higher level programs are coming. It's 12 months. The first group will be, I think, graduating in October. The next group the following year. The pilot is going to close off in October. And interestingly, I understand that it's 20% off the job, which is virtual learning, and 80% on the job, which includes guides. Hart has provided the documents for you to learn. I guess there are kits, assessments, and the mentor coaching by line managers. I wanted to ask you, how do you feel about that split, 20-80%? Does it feel about right to you?
I'd say yes. I'll jump in and say absolutely. I'd say absolutely. It is a great split, because leadership is about actually doing, right? You can read as many books as you can, which will help you. But if you're not applying what you've learned, then what is it all for? So I definitely agree with the split. It will give the apprentices some time to apply what they've learned and actually see, okay, does this work? Do I need to tweak it? Because sometimes you can even question some of the theories. Does that, is that something that suits this particular situation, and give them the opportunity to apply and learn quickly. So I'd say, yes, the split is great. And we look forward to that. Of course, it's a commitment. So this is not just about the apprentices and they're giving their commitment and time to this program. We also have to acknowledge their direct managers who themselves too have to make that commitment to say, yes, I am willing to do some additional mentorship, for my direct report. I'm willing to give the time and energy to guide them through this process. And so, they are all on board and they're happy about that, because they also understand that that's what's going to solidify this program, is the actual, I'm getting my hands dirty aspect of it. I'm actually doing what I'm learning.
Absolutely. And I would say you guys shouldn't even rule out group coaching. That's, team and group coaching is some of the newer types of coaching. It's very cost effective to just get these line managers who are not in the actual formal program, but are contributing through their mentoring and coaching of their supervisors. It'd be really good to have them share their stories. Ingrid or Wayne, how do you feel about the split? Anything to add there or any feedback? Wayne, go ahead.
I don't know that it could be anything else, frankly. I mean, just from a practical standpoint, the 20% commitment is a significant commitment, right? And if you go much higher than that, then you run the risk of educational burnout, maybe, right? Because these folks have to work during the day, and then they commit to or at least in our instance, and then they have to commit to this program twice a week, every week for a year, right? So I think the 80-20 split is perfect. And just echoing Modiel, they get to now apply what they're doing in that off time, if you will, which is class time here at work when they come to work here today. So I think it's a great split.
Great. Thank you. Ingrid, anything to add?
Oh, well, the 80-20 works for me. And the reason is because we're working towards mastery. We want our apprentices to not just know the stuff. It's not just cognitive development that we're working for. We want them to be able to apply the skills. We want them to, use it in their situation and apply it in different settings. So having that opportunity to use more on the job is definitely the way to go.
Awesome. In fact, last week I did a short orientation in the monoschool business, new students for UE. And I really urge them, I said, do your case studies with all the intention of learning and participating. But if you ever get a chance to do an application and going into industry and getting a chance to apply what you learn, that is even better. So, you know, this group, again, it's literally packaged and, you know, you can't get away from the benefits that are here. So I wanted to ask you a couple more questions. So what do you like the best about the program and what do you like the least?
All right.
And all of this is learning. So if
Yes.
our team people hear the least, they can, you know, go ahead and get curious about it and improve. What do you like the best?
What I like the best is the opportunity that it gives to, you know, elevate the industry. The fact that the GSS is so committed to helping us do that, and they have put the financial backing behind that. They've put it all together and really just made it kind of like a package. However, they did get our input in it before they did it. So it is, I think, well-rounded enough where it might not neatly fit into every organization, but it's broad-based enough where you can definitely use it. That's what I definitely love about it.
So usability.
Yes, usability. The fact that, look, it's matching how we're working. All right, it's digital, it's online. You can jump on in your class, you log in. So it's easy. What is a little bit challenging and definitely does take time from the person who's going to be the POC is, of course, what Marjorie mentioned, is there is some, you know, paperwork that you need to do, which at times, you know, you may be busy and you're like, okay, I can't get to this now, but it's just a small price to pay to make sure that it runs smoothly, to make sure the reports are completed. And importance of that is, of course, learns is just to say, hey, what's going well, what's not going well, so that the next cohort and the ones after that, you know, they can make iterations and make improvements. So I think it's just a small price to pay to keep on improving on this program.
Great. You said POC. What's that acronym?
Oh, sorry. We're referencing
I know, just in case.
Point of contact. So that would be me.
Cool. Okay, we understand that. Awesome. Thank you. Ingrid, what about you? What you like the most and what you like the least?
Definitely the opportunity for the participants to apply their knowledge. And, you know, I also think the stipend that's there is attractive because not very often you find the age group that we have. And if you look at the demographics of our environment, you know, persons really going back to school because you have quite a few persons who, once they start in the industry, they continue to just grow in the industry without having to do formal education. And I think this has actually whet the appetite of some persons who would even consider going back to do higher education because of what they have now been exposed to and knowing that there are other job opportunities there. So I like the fact that it not only, and it's not just what they're learning, is not only for our industry. It can be applied throughout life. So this also will help individuals to take on other opportunities for those persons who, you know, would have seen where their skills can help in other areas. And, you know, the administrative thing that Modiel mentioned, definitely. It is a task.
Unnecessary evil that comes with it. You have
right.
I don't think you can avoid it, but yes.
No. So that's why we continue to work with it and we try our best, you know, to ensure, because we want to ensure that the experience does not affect or prevent persons from wanting to participate. And we'd love for other persons to join and for other organizations to take up this opportunity as well. So, and that will come from our staff who are engaged, spreading the word, talking about their experience and getting other companies, getting other employees to tell their companies or to say, are you going to be a part of this GSS apprenticeship program? We have heard about it. It's doing great. I have a friend who is in the program, doing well in her organization, growing in the organization. What about us? You know,
so they're going to be ambassadors when they come out for sure.
Right.
Thank you. And I'm going to add something to what you said, but let me hear from Wayne first. What you like the best and what you like the least?
So the best, I'm probably going to take a little bit more of a selfish slant because everything that Ingrid and Modiel said goes for me as well, right?
Yes, I mean, of course. Just add. Just tap it on what you believe. Go ahead.
But what I really appreciate about the program is the acceptance and the joy and the appreciation that the apprentices have for us putting them into this program, right? So it is something that has, built a fair amount of goodwill, right? That
engagement.
Yeah, engagement. There you go. That see that it's
super engagement. You can turn it up even more.
Right. So that's a great benefit. That's a great side effect. It's the goodwill that we've been able to build within our apprentices. Like the least, the administrative part, but I have to be candid. I have a really, really super efficient assistant that kind of helps me through that process. So frankly, I don't necessarily feel the pain that Ingrid and Modil does.
Good to learn. Good to share some of those tips. Absolutely.
Yeah, it helps. It helps to have a really super efficient assistant to help you.
Awesome.
Navigate that. So because of that, I don't really have a least because that would be it if I did.
Okay. Well, interesting, going back to what Ingrid said, when I am recruiting, one of the things I notice when I'm looking for senior levels, they want the qualifications and they want the BPO experience. And so many times I find I meet some fantastic leaders, but they did not get beyond their high school education for the qualifications. So I got some good feedback from one who said, listen, try and find a way to convert what you're doing in your workplace to some sort of credit so we can shorten the degree programs for them if they've done 10, 15 years in the industry. So that's something I have as a takeaway. So there are so many benefits. There's no cost to the participating companies at this point in time. I haven't heard anything more. You're developing talent. You're building out your talent strategy by this is literally a plug and play in what you're doing. A stipend, I saw it on a slide, just over $20,000 a month. That is a good stipend, no matter what angle you're looking at it, on top of the salaries. And of course, we have a pipeline. We're developing a pipeline. So if these ambassadors come out and with your support, you're going to have more people come in. So just in your closing, as we have now come to the end, I want to ask if you have any final recommendations for the team that's doing the program. And also, if firms are hesitating to join, what would you say to them? And I know it's a no-brainer model, but, is there anything you'd say to them that to say, listen, get on track? But give me your recommendations as well.
All right, so my recommendations to the team is to continue getting feedback from the players in the industry, because who better than us that are actually in the field to explain to you what it is that we need from talent, what are the gaps that we're seeing, and so therefore what are some of the things that they can help us to bridge. I think that's very, very important. That's one of the things that I also live by in my capacity, because I certainly can't tell somebody who's doing a job day to day that, okay, this is what you need to do to make improvements. I need to go and ask, what is it that we can do better as a company to help you do your job better? And so I would just encourage them to continue seeking our feedback, and so that they can use that to make improvements in the program. The other part of it in terms of, advice to companies who may be a little bit hesitant, should I take this on, the burden, I don't have the time. I'm not going to say, oh, it's, there's going to be no hiccups or no bumps, or there's going to be a little time investment. There is going to be some investment in terms of your time to start it up, but then the benefits so far outweigh it that I think it's something that, will pay for itself, that you'll see multiple benefits. There's no way that you can have this program, no matter what, administrative duties you may have to facilitate it, that the benefits of it can't outweigh. So I encourage them, for whatever reason that they're a little bit hesitant, to go ahead and just apply. And of course, we can't stop reiterating the benefits. There's no cost. I think that's one of the biggest things, the fact that, they have literally gotten financial backing for this. And for the apprentices who are participating, the sweetener for them is, yes, I'm learning. And of course, that is the biggest intrinsic motivator. But also, it doesn't hurt that if I have to stay back a little bit late to do something that, I have some monies that I can use to help facilitate transportation, etc. Right. If I have to, log in on a Saturday and I might miss, going to the market, then, that helps to facilitate whatever the case is. So there's so many benefits to this that I think far outweighs, whatever hesitation they may have.
Of course, it's a fantastic, when you put it all together, it really is something that's compelling as an offer. I want to just add to what Model said as well. At the end of the day, really having the team connect and keep getting the feedback as a loop with the employers will help, because you're in a growing industry. So your needs are going to change even as this program is being administered. You're going to need new types of skills, new verticals are coming, all of those things. So I think that is a fantastic point that you made as well. Wayne, and then we'll come back to you, Ingrid, to close off.
Yeah, so recommendations. So what we're involved in now is a supervisory management course. I think it'd be really interesting to see if there could be a way to engage the graduates of this course with the next level of training that has to do with more entry-level apprentices. Not to have them actually be the instructors, but if we can sort of, have a connecting thread between what we have done in this course and what we're going to be doing in subsequent courses, I think that would create an interesting dynamic. It would also result in a greater level of buy-in, I think, from the entry-level persons, just to see one of their own, if you will, participating on the instruction side in whatever way. I mean, I don't know specifically how that would be done, but I think it'd be good to see those faces on the instruction side as well. It'd be a novel approach. It'd be something that, we don't really see a lot. What we see is instructor, classrooms, and so on. Let's have a little bit more engagement on the instruction side from persons who have actually gone through part of this program as well. So I think that would be interesting.
You're getting some thumbs up, by the way. The chat is just endorsing all of what you say, including some trainers who have just piped in. Thank you so much, Natasha and team.
Okay.
Go ahead, Wayne. Anything else? And then Ingrid?
Yeah, so, and in terms of, what to say to companies, I mean, look, we deal with ledgers, right? Assets, love it. So, you've got this side with all of these benefits, right? Where are the negatives? Zero, right? So what do you have to lose? I mean, what, to go back to Modiel,
it comes back in one short sentence.
Really,
I would encourage, people on the call, other companies listening. We have 3 mentors here as well. Just pick up the phone and call them and ask. I know you collaborate as an industry. Thank you so much, Wayne. Ingrid, your final thoughts, just any recommendations, and if firms are hesitant, what would you want to say to them?
Okay, so for my recommendation to the GSS team is to get more feedback, get more, not just because you want to get feedback, but I would say do not accept that what we have accomplished here is the best that we can do, but to look for how we can improve on it, because I believe that, times are changing, and things change. And I think the program may have been designed with no expectation of COVID. And so, the work from home situation and all those things, we have to now consider that, revisit what we have and see what can we do to make it even better than what it is. And my message to the organizations that are not yet a part of this program, what are you waiting on? Or your employees need this opportunity. They need to learn more. We need to expand, their thoughts and give them that opportunity to embrace new concepts, embrace new approaches, because they are doing more or less what they have seen. And yet there are other things they can do. They can apply different skills, and your organization will benefit from it.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Ingrid, Wayne, and Model, fantastic contributions. And I will even come back to say that survey that I said that I heard about, and we spoke about it quite a bit when I was at that HRD conference in India, about 50 to 60% of people knew their jobs are going to change and needed new skills. That survey was done before COVID. So it's not if, it's exactly what you said, Ingrid, that it is the context has changed, work from home. How do you supervise somebody and even tackle coaching? Being, so much of your experience now is remote in relationships. So I do encourage your team to take all of the great recommendations and advice. And thanks for your candor, guys. That's how we learn. We just might as well put it in there and see what comes out. But you're making this program great. So congratulations. Thank you so much. And all the very best. Please stay safe, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
Thank you.
Back to you, Gloria.
Thank you very much, Lisa and team. Great discussion. And I think it's a great endorsement of the program. The discussion has certainly brought into focus the key benefits of the program. We've listened to you, we've heard you. A great call out, Ingrid, on the importance of performance management, even within the context as we look at, the key elements of the PEAK program, the performance enhancement, acceleration, and knowledge. We understand the gaps that exist in this sector, especially of persons who transition from line staff into leadership role, and how it is that you build and develop and grow those persons so that they can be successful in their new roles. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for the very articulate way in which you have handled this discussion and the key points that you have raised, and of course the engaging ways that you have brought in, vicariously, I believe, some of the persons out there who are on the different platforms. So thank you very much. The Apprenticeship and Skills Committee of the JSS highlights the critical areas and needs of the JSS. But it is Heart Trust NTA that develops the curriculum, and Heart has been part of this global services sector for many years, for over 2 decades actually. And I would say that Heart has been consistent in its evolution in terms of how it supports the sector by continuing to grow and evolve as the needs of the sector has grown and evolved over the years. So the fact that Heart, has been part of the sector and is now an important part of this GSS project, we could not have this discussion without hearing from Heart. So what we do, we're a flexible organization. We understand the volatility of the environment in which we operate, where we have to pivot at a wink from time to time. And so I think Heart joining the discussion at this time now is very timely, because it actually brings into focus the key role that Heart plays in the training and development of our talent in Jamaica. We currently have 9 firms participating in the apprenticeship program with over 600 employees. And as you've heard from the panelists, there is nothing to lose. It's all gains. And yes, we take the point that there are ways to take in additional comments and feedback, and we continue to enhance. It is why Marjorie ensures that enhancement is part of the program. It's etched in the DNA, because that's what we do at the GSS. So ladies and gentlemen out there in the virtual space, please allow me now to bring on Marlon from Heart, who is going to tell you very quickly how it is that Heart supports the GSS in this program.
Thank you very much, Gloria. Good afternoon, everyone. Hearty afternoon, everyone. My Jumper colleagues, firms, apprentices, it is a great pleasure. I bring a short remark on behalf of the revised Heart and STA Trust. Historically, Heart, although we were formed in 1982, really the Apprenticeship Act was first developed in 1954 as pre-independence. Just to give a context how important apprenticeship is to learning and to the learning and development landscape. Quite frankly, at the Heart and STA Trust, we believe this is the most effective method to transfer knowledge from one generation to the next. Many firms, and I've heard Wayne, Ingrid, and other persons spoke about the benefits of the program, this particular program, to their respective firms. But it's important, while I'm here, just to say that the Heart and STA Trust, since our merger, since the revised and since the apprenticeship board was consumed in the new Heart, we have a number of other, and while the GSS is a very critical project, we have a number of other apprenticeship internship program that the firms could also tap into. The Hope Youth Summer Work program, of course, the regular registered apprenticeship program, and of course GSS. So we want the respective firms to understand that the trust is here for GSS and for the wider apprenticeship ecosystem to ensure that the firm's productivity, because colleagues, it's important again to underscore the benefits. And I heard the respective firms, the panelists spoke about how beneficial the program is to their respective firms. But there are a number of benefits, other benefits, the development of new skills. It saves them on cost because, listen to me, when any firm, and the data is there to show, any firm who employ an apprenticeship mechanism, an apprenticeship scheme, it reduces their onboarding cost. And many of these firms tell that onboarding is one of the most costly component of their thing, of their setup. It boosts productivity, and I heard it. I think it's from Ingrid earlier. Spoke about how it increases her firm's productivity. It promotes loyalty. Wayne spoke about the loyalty quite selfishly, but it's true. When you have apprentices who learn, they get a qualification, they get a stipend, and of course they get the mentorship from your firm. It increases loyalty toward that particular firm. And 90% of apprentices stay at their firm or the company that they did their particular apprenticeship program with. It promotes diversity, and diversity going forward in a changing work environment. Diversity is critical, and there are many others. And I could also speak to the benefits, if time allowed, to the respective apprentices. Of course, the stipend, it gives them a qualification path. It reduces, it improves employability skills because they learn and earn on the job. So with all that in place, the Heart NSTA Trust is eternally committed, and we are eternally committed to apprenticeship, to the GSS program, because as the National Human Capital Development Agency, we see it as our responsibility to ensure that our firms, again in the GSS sector, in the global services sector, but firms right across the board, increases their productivity. Again, we're committed to the process. And thank you very much for the time. It's a pity time not allowed, but I'll go to all the other benefits, all the other programs that the trust would have had. But thank you again, and colleagues in the GSS sector. We are committed to you, to serving you as the National Human Capital Development Agency. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Marlon. I am sure Tanae will give you a forum for yourself to articulate and elaborate more on the apprenticeship program. There's a lot more that is to be said, that can be said, and I'm sure you will get that forum. So we're at the end of this program now. Thank you all very, very much for participating. We're a little bit over time, but I think it has been rich knowledge, very good information that has been shared here today. Learn and earn through the apprenticeship program as you enhance your skills and your performance and accelerate your growth within the global services sector. I want to thank Diane for JAMPRO's role in this project and for speaking here today and sharing more about the project, the wider project. I want to thank Egbert and of course for illuminating much more the apprenticeship program in his country, in Germany, and for what he has shared with us about the importance of this program. Definitely, I want to thank Marjorie for a great presentation, Marjorie. Detailed presentation, of course. We continue to see your passion in how you have led this project, and we're seeing the success as well. So thank you so much, Marjorie, for the great work you're doing. I want to thank members of the team that supports Marjorie in this apprenticeship week. I hope by calling names, I'm not leaving out anybody, but I know Julaire, Luana, and Tanae. Tanae, I think, is in the background in the production seat today and doing a great job, Tanae. So thank you so much, Tanae. I want to thank the Lisa Soares and members of the panel for the excellent discussion, and for Ingrid, of course, Modiel and Wayne for just sharing your experiences, for providing your endorsements and your suggestions, and for the great feedback that you have provided here today. That, of course, will benefit your colleagues and your peers within the global services sector. And I would say, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not yet signed up for the apprenticeship program, you need to do so immediately. You don't want to miss this opportunity to allow members of your workforce to learn and earn. Thank you all very much for a great 2 hours. And I look forward to seeing you again for the next event under the GSS. So thank you all for having me, for giving me the opportunity to be part of this program here today. And have a good evening, everyone. Remember to stay safe and to protect your lives and livelihoods as we continue to struggle during these difficult times of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you and have a good evening. Good afternoon, everyone.